Okay, yep. First, let's go over some of Falke's changes. Not everything was good, per se. There were some nerfs as well. On the whole, I would say Falke is a little bit better due to the changes. Significantly more fun to play because she got the changes that I talked about in my what to change for Falke video. First, I talked about changes that would make the character better, like her problems and what could be done to fix those problems. Then I talked about what could be done to make the character more fun to play. And those things, most of those things that I talked about to make the character more fun to play were done, although not quite enough. I said the most important thing that I wanted to make the character more fun was to buff the hell out of the gunshots, give her another special move to do with the gunshots. She did not get any new moves with that, so that's not the case. This was buffed a little bit. The most significant buffs, and now low profiles, it's faster. It still sucks in neutral. Here, I'll demonstrate that right now, actually. So, to present the changes, here. So you can now, it still doesn't low profile fireballs super fast. It's not as fast as some other characters like Birdie's Bullhorn, okay? So if I release it, I gotta release it real early as soon as I see the fireball. And one other benefit, I can release it like here, early on from back here, and I won't stand up into it. That was one of the other things that was buffed, is if you throw it when the fireball is like just released and you're really far away, you won't stand up into it as easily because your hurt box doesn't appear as far in the back. That was the main thing that was buffed for the, well, that was the main thing that was buffed for this against other fireballs. Unfortunately, its recovery is still ass. Its recovery was improved by 1 frame because its startup was improved by 1 frame, which but her anti-airs were not okay. Her crouching heavy punch, the hurt box and hitbox was improved, but other than that, and this was mildly improved, but their speed was not improved, and their ability to, like, this is not invincible to jump-ins immediately. So nothing else was changed on that front, which means that she's still, in an emergency situation when the opponent's pretty close to her in the air, she still can't anti-air. Which means that the opponents can still jump over this on reaction, and she won't be able to anti-air unless she has super. Which means that you run into situations like this, where you can react to, like, him throwing a fireball, and then he can just see that and jump over it, and you won't be able to anti-air. Crouching heavy punch gets stuffed. Schneide gets stuffed. But now, with this buff, you can at least use it in this range. It comes out a little bit faster. So you can, you know, do something like this. And you can now, at least in this situation, anti-air with the EX Schneide. So yes, this was buffed a little bit to deal with fireballs. Not really that much, though. It still kind of sucks, because it doesn't help you actually control the screen against fireball characters, and it barely works to try to use it to react to fireballs in the footsie's range to punish them. So, really not significant enough to make it actually good. This move was buffed and nerfed. Okay, well, there's other changes that were made to this move that make it pretty good, especially in the corner. Specifically, it still hits, like, it's still +4 on hit when you do it point blank, but after, I think, the 3rd active frame of the attack, it suddenly just gets more plus. So even if, so you're like here, you're +4, a little bit backwards, suddenly you get, like, all of a sudden +8. It skips over +6 and +7, because after the 3rd active frame, it just gets more plus, which allows new combos to be done. Like that, which definitely buffs her corner combos. And there's some other things that you can do with that too, but I'll get to that in a bit. So yeah, that was what was buffed with this. When you get the standing gun, this just does more damage now, and you can do it. They buffed a lot of this dive kick thing to make it. It's still gimmicky. It's still incredibly gimmicky. So I haven't labbed that much with this yet, but there's probably some setup stuff that I can do, and but it's one of those awkward things that's going to be difficult and require a lot of time in the lab. So I'll get to that in a bit, maybe in a couple days. But yeah, so now you can now do the fireball after the dive kick. You couldn't before, and the fireball just does more damage now. No change to frame data or anything like that. It's not like plus on hit or anything crazy like that. So yes, it's still gimmicky, and it's still a bad move that's incredibly punishable in a number of ways, but it's a little bit more rewarding now, which is fine. I didn't really want that move to get buffed in any other way. Alright, then we have Standing Gunshot, which is the most buffed move. It was also nerfed in a few important ways. It's more plus on hit. One thing that it's not is it doesn't have more active frames, so you can't do... Oh, right, I forgot. That's no longer special cancelable, so this is gone. You can't do like the down forward hard kick in this place and then cancel it into the V skill for the meaty. So that's not possible. It also, that nerf to the down forward hard kick also decreases the max range that you can catch the opponent low and combo off of it, because you used to be able to hit them. They extended the hitbox a little bit, but you used to be able to hit them from like here, and then you could easily react and then cancel it just on one hit into a full combo with that. But because it's no longer special cancelable, now you can't do that. So now you have to be in range to combo off of it, otherwise you get no knockdown. So this, like, don't let people fool you and think that this was like buffed to be a better low. It was actually nerfed. So her ability to catch people low is even worse now than it was before. But anyways, so yes, this is plus on block now. +2 on block. It also has more pushback on block, which means it's not really that good. You can do like stuff like this. Here, let me... the timing. There we go. So yeah, you can do stuff like that now. It's not necessarily really strong, but it's just helpful all around to have better frame advantage. When you're harassing the opponent, it makes it a lot better. And you can get new setups and stuff. When you actually clip the opponent with the fireball, you're not +1, you're +7, which means you still have control. You can check the opponent if they try to jump or anything like that. You know, you got a lot more options. You still can't necessarily convert off of it from far away, because it's only +7, and the speed of her normals was not increased. So you can only, like, say... At this range, you can only, like, say, just combo off of it with, like, a low-medium kick. And that's it, unless you're in trigger 2. Because you're not in range for that. That no longer... All of her lights no longer combo into gunshot, except on counter hit. So, yeah. That was also a significant nerf as well, because it means that you can no longer check the opponent with lights and then hit confirm it into anything. Like, say you can't, like, do that into gunshot and then hit confirm that into super, because her lights no longer link into that. Her lights no longer link into anything that's safe on block. Unless you're in trigger, in which case you can do the V-scale, but even then, it's not going to reach. It reaches better than it did before, especially off of Crouching Light Punch, which was buffed, but it still doesn't reach all the way. However, Standing Light Punch is, you know, 1 frame better on hit, which means that you can hit confirm that into super if you are pretty sharp. Like so. Ugh. But you do gotta be pretty fast on it. So anyways, yes, this was buffed to be +2 on hit, +7 on block, slower startup speed, so it can't combo off of lights, which is also a nerf to a trigger 2. Because now You can't hit confirm like, oh, just get a light into that and then cancel it into, say, the activation or into a knockdown once you're in the activation, because it no longer combos off of lights, so you can't check the opponent. You know, it's just a nerf all around to a lot of her toolkit, especially in Trigger 2. So now you have to land a medium to be able to combo into gunshot and then be able to confirm that gunshot into like a knockdown or the activation of Trigger 2. Honestly, I would say that this character received like half and half buffs and nerfs due to the changes, because there's a lot of important stuff that you just can't do anymore. Anyways, let's see, what else? Yeah, so no buffs in the things that actually matters in a lot of circumstances. So no buffs to her neutral game, really, because all of her buttons still, no buffs to the recovery, small buff to the startup of this. This is a better poke. So this was buffed for a neutral button. Other than that, no buffs to a neutral. This still doesn't link into anything on reaction. Unless you're talking about like super. Because it is now +4 on hit. So you can combo that into super. No buffs to like the startup of this or anything, which means that you still can't like, say, do like a far medium punch and then confirm that into like a knockdown. If you're outside of the range of your crouching medium punch, you're still not going to get anything off of that. Yeah, so no buffs really to her neutral game, which means that you're still going to be poking with high risk options all the time. Moves that have bad hurt boxes and bad recovery. And her anti-airs weren't buffed, so if she whiffs a move and the opponent was jumping, she's either going to eat a huge combo or be forced to block because she won't be able to anti-air. So all that stuff, which is probably the biggest problem with the character, is still there. Another huge problem, the opponent is still free to just walk out of her pressure because she doesn't have any dangerous lows. Now that you can't even special cancel that, that's worse. It's one more frame better on block, which means you can actually frame trap 3 framers with it with a medium punch. And you know, it has one more frame better on the meaty setups and stuff. That's fine. But not being able to special cancel this is actually a pretty big letdown. It does hit farther, but you still can't combo off of it at range like you used to be able to. So that sucks. Yeah. Low medium kick, not really better in any way. One thing that she can do now that she couldn't do before is in terms of lows. So she has like, say, +2 on block jabs, like those, and then they leave their opponent in range of a throw, right? But this is not a true tick throw, because the opponent can walk out of throw range even after blocking it, after blocking any of her lights there. So because the opponent can just walk out of her tick throws, well, they're not real tick throws, of course, and she has no dangerous lows. But one buff that she got to her low conversions was that she used to not be able, so you could do like crouching light punch, and then you could do crouching light kick, crouching light punch, and that would actually link, but you couldn't do anything except for gunshot at the end, which you could only combo off of with super. And that was your only way of stopping the opponent from walking out of her tick throws. But, yeah, you couldn't do it into V-Skill. You couldn't do it into Schneide, which you still can't do. But now you can do it into EX Schneide, since that was buffed. So now, at least she has a way to combo off of her lows that's farther, that, you know, she can do, that isn't as easy to fuzzy guard as that was. So that is, you know, a buff. The knockdown that you get off of that is still total garbage. You're only +18 afterwards. You don't even get a dash up. You can check the opponent with like a slight walk forward into that if they normal cover, but... So yeah. that is a little better, which means that she can actually, like, punish the opponent from walking out of her tick throws, which means she can get them to stay still, which means that she has actual tick throws now, some of the time. It's still a guess, because you have to condition the opponent to not walk backwards after her ticks. But yeah, that is, you know, a buff. Let's see, what else was buffed or nerfed or changed? So yeah, anyways, one thing that you're going to have to do for better frame traps is practice late canceling standing medium kick into the gunshot. If you cancel it straight away, it's a true block string, which means you won't be able to frame trap the opponent. If you delay it slightly, you will actually create a frame trap, and if you catch them, you can, at least if you do it right point blank, you can get a knockdown from it. So yeah, she has new frame trap sequences using the gunshot, but you have to practice those. You can get like slight micro walks now in some of her combos, like say if the opponent's crouching, you can now do like that into standing medium punch, but medium kick won't link afterwards, so you can do a slight micro walk after the gunshot. There we go. You can do a slight micro walk forward, still get the medium punch, and then get a further link. So yeah, she now has like micro walk combos like that. You can micro walk into like her crouching light punch. Crouching light punch will link that's her farthest linking light button. Because it cancels better. It has less pushback on hit, and it cancels better into her other buttons. Like if you do standing light punch, it's not going to work. Standing light kick, of course, won't work. So crouching light punch is where it's at for linking combos into knockdowns. Okay, other problems that she had that she still has that weren't fixed. It's still incredibly easy to backdash out of her pressure. She can't really frame trap the opponent for backdashing after, like, say, a block standing medium punch. However, one of the buffs, specifically the buff to the startup speed of this move, actually helps her catch the opponent backdash now. It doesn't really do much, because you're only, like, +3 afterwards and you're a mile away. But, like, say, you know, you can do some things. Like, if you're in trigger 1, you can, like, hit him, cancel it into a meaty Shrot. You know, but it's nice to be able to at least hit them without having to commit to a forward hard punch. Or canceling the standing medium punch into the cannon. Also now you can do, well yeah, see, you can still like backdash out of all that stuff, so you can't really check her with, you know, the lights or anything. It's almost a free backdash, so it's nice to be able to do something that's not very committal, like that, and at least be able to hit them out of a backdash. But that being said, it's still incredibly easy to get out of Falke's pressure, because she doesn't have any threatening lows, and she doesn't have, all of her buttons are so slow that it's very easy to backdash out of her buttons. And she doesn't have good ways of beating backdashes, and she doesn't have good like forward walk speed or forward dashes to chase them down. See, even if you like read the forward dash, barely. You also really want to practice to make sure you know exactly when you can and can't combo into a knockdown off of the gunshot. Like say I do a tick of like crouching light punch into the gunshot, and the opponent's trying to mash backdash, right? Which, this is a true frame trap. Like, that will beat out 3-framers. So, you say they block the crouching light punch, but it pushes them back more on block than it does on hit. Okay? And then you go into the the gunshot. You're +7, but you might not realize that you're not in range for, like, say, a crouching light punch. You are in range for a standing light kick, but that won't link cleanly into the EX Schneide, and then you're just going to get crush counter punished. So a micro walk in that situation, a micro walk into a crouching light punch into EX Schneid is the only way you can combo off of that, and it's very risky to do because if you mess up the timing for that, you're gonna get crush countered. Safer option is just to like take the poke with crouching medium kick to combo off of it, like so. Okay, so let's talk about V-Trigger 2 now being a 2-bar trigger. There's a few changes to make it less punishable on block. It's now only like minus 28, whereas minus atrocious, some horrible, like, nightmare-inducing number before. Still incredibly punishable on block. You don't want to do this, but one thing, I don't think it's really better to be a 2-bar trigger rather than a 3-bar trigger, because they also reduced its effectiveness. Now you only get like I think 3 actions out of it. Yeah, which is like basically like that on its own leaves you with just 1 use left. And the problem with this is that now they've reduced the actual effectiveness of the trigger, especially since you can no longer combo lights into gunshot. That means you can no longer poke with lights and then confirm lights by themselves into a knockdown. Okay, the fact that you can't link those into gunshot means that you can't confirm lights into a knockdown anymore in this trigger. You have to do it with mediums, which is a pretty significant nerf. That was like one of the strongest things about this trigger beforehand. At least on, like, people are like sort of convincing themselves that because this is a 2-bar now, all of a sudden this trigger's now, you know, quote-unquote viable. So a lot of people will probably be discovering the strengths of this trigger soon, where they just basically ignored it before. But I don't agree that, I think it was stronger before as a 3-bar. I think if they, you know, buffed the effectiveness of it a little bit as a 3-bar, or with the buffs that Falke has right now, especially to some of the stuff that you can do with a crouching gunshot, this would have been better as a 3-bar, because now as a 2-bar, you you still have to find a way to confirm into it. It's a little bit safer now, and you have more ways to confirm into it because you can now hit confirm, forward hard punch, and crouching medium punch. Like so. And it's very easy to do. So now you have more ways to activate into it. I think its range got increased. I might be forgetting some of the buffs to how you can activate this. But yeah, it's a little bit easier to activate, and it's a little bit less punishable when you do it. It has less recovery, so you can do it now more safely just in neutral, and you recover faster. Beyond that, but I still think those buffs would have been better for it as a 3-bar, because now it's less effective in a single use, and if you build 2 triggers in 1 round, you have to find 2 different ways of activating it, which sucks. Like, it was still better, like, in fireball matchups where you could just wait for a fireball to come on screen and then activate and then get hit out of the animation. That was probably the most common method that I used to activate it, because, you know, it was the easiest and safest. Especially now when you gain V-gauge for nullifying fireballs with the V-skill, it would have been much better as a 3-bar, in my opinion. But anyways, at least now people are actually like giving this trigger a shot, so they'll start to find the tech for it that I already made last season. So I consider that a nerf. Anyways, trigger 1 also nerfed. It didn't really receive, as far as I remember, other than being able to do the gunshot off of this, which means you can also, like, say, stomp into, like, jumping medium punch, do that, and then you built enough space that it'll bounce off the ground, which means that you can dash in and still be plus. So, you know, that aspect of it, due to the dive kick being able to do that now, is now a bit better. But other than that, this really didn't get buffed. This in the corner, however, got severely nerfed, because now you have pushback on this when you do this in the corner, when you did not used to. You did not used to have any pushback on this, which means that that sequence that I talked about being really strong with Falke being really lethal with this in the corner, completely gone now. If you do V-skill into that, you are not in throw range. If you do V-skill into that, you are not in standing medium punch range, which means that you do not have an option to frame trap a 3-framer. Because remember, if you do like, medium kick is 8 frames, so if you do like this over and over in mid-screen, that'll still lose to 3-framers because there's a 4-frame gap there. However, you didn't have to worry about that when you were in the corner because you had medium punch instead because you were close enough. So you could do standing medium punch into it, and medium punch is 6 frames, so that would beat 3-framers after the +4 of the gunshot. However, you no longer have access to that, so now you can't frame trap 3-framers with anything but crouching jab. However, if you do that, oh, doesn't reach into V-skill on block, which means that you no longer actually get a loop that works against 3 characters with 3-framers. You no longer get a pressure loop in the corner, and when the V-skill into Shroud is blocked, you're not in throw range anyways. So you're just like way, way shittier than you used to be with this trigger in the corner, with no other real buffs to this trigger. So that by itself, I think, like, pulls down this trigger to not being that great. And her other trigger being a 2-bar, and you know, trigger 2 has a lot of uses that people have been ignoring, but I still don't think it'll be that great as a 2-bar. I think it's fine, honestly. Like, I haven't really used it that much in matches, so it's going to be one of those things where I'll really have to see it in action to decide whether or not it's better or worse than it used to be. But yeah, this is a severe nerf. Alright, but buffs now, significant buffs. Corner combos. Okay, by far and away, the best buff that this character got is crouching hard punch is now an actual footsie, or not necessarily a footsies button. It's not something you can use from back here. It has more recovery now than it used to, which makes it worse in case it gets baited. But it also has a better hurt box, so and hitbox, so it works better as an anti-air. But it also has less advantage after you anti-air, and it does less damage than it used to do. So, you know, buffs and nerfs around for this as an anti-air, but as a footsies button, this is now really good because it actually reaches really far now. It's not just an anti-air, it's also a button that you can use in frame traps and pressure. It's 8 frames, same startup as a medium kick, so anywhere you could use medium kick, you can basically use this. Which means that it works now for combos due to its increased reach, which gives you bigger damage, especially in the corner, where you can get massive amounts of meterless damage. I suppose I should also talk about the EX Schneide confirm. It is handy. She didn't use, outside of trigger, she didn't used to be able to confirm like lights into knockdowns from range. She used to just be able to do gunshot. So even though she can't actually just do safe gunshots or, you know, like cancel it into something safe that it'll combo into with the gunshot, at least she can at least like combo lights into a knockdown from range, using a bar meter, granted, and not with a great knockdown. But, you know, she has a bigger variety of options now, so I think on the whole that will help her. But anyways, yes, back to crouching heavy punch. This is the best buff by far. Not only does it increase the combo potential, it also drastically improves her frame traps. One of the biggest reasons, and it's the reason I pulled out Akuma here, I talked in a previous video that Falke relies on standing heavy punch to have a better hurt box to be able to beat out moves, but it loses to certain moves in a +3 or +2 situation, like standing medium kick from Akuma, and that your +8 medium kick was just going to trade with it because it's only 5, because Akuma's medium kick is 5 frame startup and Falke's is 8. So in that situation, they're going to hit on the same frame. So that you didn't really have many options to actually frame trap the Akuma. But now you can, because crouching heavy punch is a heavy button which has priority over mediums, which solves a big problem that this character used to have. So this all of a sudden becomes a really, really good pressure button, much better than medium kick in many circumstances. Same startup, but links into a lot more stuff that medium kick doesn't, has priority over buttons that medium kick doesn't, and best thing is hit confirmable by itself. So you can do like a light 3-frame plus 3, beat out medium buttons like that, hit confirm it into EX, or if it's blocked, just cancel it into a gunshot, that's plus 2. So yeah, this button is way, way better as just a close range check. If you're within the range, you really got to learn the range, and I'm, practicing getting used to it. But yes, this button is now super good. So get used to practicing hit confirming that in one hit into like the EX catapult for combos, because you're probably going to be using this a lot to keep the opponent in check. And yes, not only does that solve the one major problem that I was talking about, where she can't beat those 5-frame mediums that beat her standing heavy punch, this also handles the other problem that I was talking about, where I said all of her buttons hit all of her actual like grounded buttons that can be used in pressure or footsies hit so low to the ground that she gets jumped in on constantly. So if you do like 3-framer and a medium kick, oh, jumped over. Jumped over. Jumped over. If you're 3 frames, you can at least do that, but if you're only plus 2, jumped over. But now, that frame trap is actually legitimate, and you can actually stop the opponent from just jumping out of all of your frame traps and such. Because that will hit high up into the air. You will have to practice hit confirming this into a variety of different things. If you actually get like a hit, you want to cancel it into the EX catapult. If you get a block, you want to cancel it into the gunshot. And if you get like an air flip out, you want to cancel it into that. And due to the buffs of that being, 3 frames better after the 3rd active frame or something, that will be more plus when you actually meaty them with it. So yes, that's the main thing that you would have to practice with this move. But she finally has a button that she can use that actually will hit the opponents out of the air or out of jump startup, like that. Or not jump startup, but early jump frames. So yes, this button was buffed to solve 2 major problems that her frame traps had. And it also increases the damage of her close range combos. So yes, this was significantly buffed. The juggle points, I believe the juggle points on this were also buffed. I haven't really tested or experimented with this very much yet, but I believe you can do stuff like I don't remember if that was possible to do before. I think only 1 hit of the EX Schneider used to hit before. I might be mistaken. But yeah, I haven't really messed around with what's new or possible with that. It doesn't seem like many of her main combo routes have changed much with that. Like, she still can't do stuff like, she still can't do 2 gunshots after a launch and then combo off of it with that. It still won't work. So yeah, and she still can't do like that into that, So it doesn't seem like it's massively changed anything. Trigger 2 buffs. Okay, this is now a few frames better on recovery if you don't hit anyone with it, which can make it a little bit better for like going over fireballs. But I think the main thing that this can do, I tried to see if it works to like get better meaty setups when you whiff it after a cancel. Doesn't really seem like that's the case. Like, that's still gonna be minus. But anyways, I think that you can use this in the corner to make slightly better like ambiguous looking cross-up situations. Like that. And the fact that this recovers better on whiff can help you do that. Even though it's not that situation right there, she's still not technically plus. But other than that, I haven't really found a great use for this getting better on whiff. Let's see, this got better on, it pushes back a little bit more on block, which makes it safer. You can use it as a poke. Kind of a waste. You only get 3 of these. You don't even get a good knockdown after the, off of this if it hits. But it is fast. It will probably catch people, so maybe I'll start trying to use it. If it seems really crappy, I'll just say, you know, no, that's not really worth doing. But it is definitely, it comes out faster than, like, you know, you can poke with that. That's still not very safe, but you can poke with this, and that will, like, combo on hit, and it's pretty safe at that range. Anyways, one of the other things that you can now do, because this hit, the cannon is 3 frames better after the 3rd active frame, so if it hits back here, a little bit easier to get those combos. The combos off of cannon and into the overhead works in a wider range now, so you can actually, like, try to space that out yourself and get those combos, which is a pretty significant buff. But more than that, here. So anyways, here's another buff that the increase on the frame advantage of the cannon, the crouching gunshot, does. So even though that, standing medium punch, crouching hard punch into the gunshot, it's +8. So that doesn't combo into the overhead, but it is a very real frame trap. So I am unless I have an invincible option, I'm not going to be able to anti-air that. That is frame tight. So I'm, like, say, mashing crouch medium punch with Nash to anti-air. It's not going to work. The only thing that he can do in that situation to get out of that overhead is super. And then, so if you just catch the opponent with the overhead, you literally get to loop it over and over. Because you get that into standing medium punch, crouching heavy punch, cannon, overhead again. And if they don't block the overhead, then you just get to keep running that reset on them over and over. And unless they have something invincible, they're not going to get out of that. And if they block that, Falke is +3, and she's right in range for everything. So throw range, anything like that, it's really good. And this technically works in mid-screen too, although in mid-screen, after they block the overhead, they're not really, like, in range for anything threatening. Falke isn't in range to throw them. This is really good in the corner because you don't have to worry about, you know, you don't have to knock them down, so you don't have to worry about what wake up they're going to do. Unless they have an invincible uppercut, there's nothing that they can do to beat this or get out of this reset. And if you pair it with some other stuff and maybe trick them or catch them with the overhead a few times, that's even better. So, she didn't used to have anything that was a real frame trap into the overhead, even on hits, but now she does. On block, it's still, at best, against some characters, you might, like, force a trade out of them if they try to anti-air. But on the whole, it's still not going to be, like, free blocked overheads. If you get that combo, then hit the overhead, that's like free stun on a lot of characters. So anyways, yes, those were the major changes that I have found so far to the character. Most significant ones, crouching heavy punch being a button that is you know, usable. Crouching medium punch and crouching heavy punch both being usable in, like, footsies and pressure. It makes a big difference because it gives her a variety that she didn't have before and covers a lot of the options that she used to struggle against, like backdashes or other things like that. She still won't be able... So, a big problem, she still can't really, like, confirm hits, like, even on counter hit, into a knockdown at, like, when she is, like, say, this far out or anything. Best she can do is, like... You know, you still can't, like, combo a light on counter hit into a far-ranging medium like standing medium kick, because the startup of the moves wasn't really improved. Her footsies are still crap because the recovery wasn't improved, although you can use this now, and that's a little bit safer to use because it recovers faster, its startup is faster, it's better on block and on hit, and I think its hurt box was improved a bit, and it gives her a better crouching normal to use, which means that it's not as likely to get jumped in on, although she still won't be able to anti-air the opponent if they jump in when you throw the move out because her anti-airs weren't improved either. So yes, her damage output in the corner is a massive buff in that situation. Like I said, the biggest problems with this like patch is that it didn't fix the things that she was already bad at. And it was sort of like a mixture of significant buffs and significant nerfs. So I don't really think Falke is that much better in this version, but she is more fun to play and she has a lot more options. Although I really am not a fan of the nerf to... Oh, right, I forgot to say. It's not just on block that this nerf comes into effect. It also comes into effect on hit. It pushes you back on hit as well, which means that it's no longer possible to get, like, say, the loops going. You can get one loop, but on the whole, it'll push you back too far. See? And there's no spacing that you can do now to get the full loop. So that was also nerfed. Yeah, so no significant buff to our neutral game. This is still ass in neutral. This is, because of its startup being slower, it's a little bit worse in neutral. Like when it's not being used as a cancel. Actually, there's one thing that I need to test that I haven't tested yet. 1 second. Nope, this crap is still here. She still gets knocked down by the second hit of a 2-hitting fireball if she tries to eliminate it with her fireball. Alright. That's dumb. Okay, but whatever. So yeah, the improved frame advantage on hit and on block of her fireballs definitely, you know, just overall helps her game and helps her keep her opponent in check more often. This is a good buff. This is a really good buff for her pressure. So she has more pressure routes and options now. You definitely want to practice late canceling the medium kick into the gunshot so you can make that a frame trap. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I'm not super impressed because they didn't fix a lot of the biggest problems with the character. Biggest problem, of course, just being the neutral game and the risky mediums, the risky heavies, and the lack of like an actual control game with her fireballs. And I'll be testing a lot of stuff with this new shenanigans with the dive kick and seeing what all you can do with that in a bit. So, but that's where I'm at right now. I hope that helps.